Her twin faked her death and stole her life, until she came back. Now she's taking back everything, her name, her job, her face. But the final twist? A confrontation so personal, only one sister walks away. You won't believe who ends up in handcuffs. I woke up with a headache that felt like someone had carved it into my skull with glass. White ceiling. The smell of antiseptic. Tubes in my arms. Machines beeping in a steady rhythm that didn't match my breathing. And voices. Soft. Close. She's lucky to be alive. She doesn't remember yet. Give her time. She'll come back to us. But the thing is, I remembered everything. My name is Lena. Not Celeste. Not babe. Not sweetheart, don't you recognize me? That last one came from a man with expensive stubble and a wedding ring that wasn't mine. He held my hand like it was supposed to be his. You've been through a lot, he said gently. But you're safe now. You're home. Only I wasn't. Because the home he brought me to? The one with the white kitchen and perfect garden and that god-awful ceramic angel on the mantel? It wasn't mine. It was hers. Let me back up. I have a twin. Celeste. Born 7 minutes after me but always the first to get what she wanted. She was sharper, shinier, more charming. The kind of person people believed without question. She also had a habit of borrowing things she had no right to. Money. Friends. Boyfriends. But apparently this time, she borrowed me. The crash was real. We were in the same car. We'd argued. Again. And the world went sideways in one sharp turn. They said the body they pulled from the wreckage was mine. They said she survived. Except, they were wrong. Celeste died. And I lived. But when I woke up, bandaged, broken, they called me by her name. Because she'd switched our IDs. And she hadn't just taken my name. She'd taken my life. My fiancé. My apartment. My job. My future. She told everyone I was dead, cremated in a closed casket service. The ashes? Scattered at our favorite beach. How poetic. But she missed something. You can steal a face. You can forge a signature. You can walk like me, dress like me, even cry like me. But you can't be me. Because I know things she doesn't. Secrets buried under 10 years of shared trauma and competition. And now, I was coming home. The first time I saw her wearing my name, she was smiling for a camera. A company headshot, polished and professional, framed on the wall outside the office I used to call mine. Celeste Winslow, creative director. Except it wasn't her name. It was mine. And that office. The one filled with my awards, my color-coded sticky notes, my signature orchid by the window? That was my life. Now occupied by my sister, wrapped in my wardrobe, speaking to my co-workers with my tone, cashing a paycheck I used to earn. She'd even copied my haircut, a sleek bob she once mocked as too corporate. And yet, there it was tucked neatly behind her ear like she'd been born with it. The rage that bloomed in my chest that day wasn't loud. It was still. Quiet. Cold. Like the kind of fury you wrap in velvet and lace until it's sharp enough to draw blood without anyone noticing. I didn't walk through the front door. I watched from the lobby first. Studied her routines. Her tells. How she laughed too easily when someone asked her about Lena. How her hand would drift to her locket whenever someone got too close to the truth. I waited 2 days. Then I sent the first message. From, no reply at aftermail.com subject. Did you miss me, body? Hope the locket fits. Love. She wore that locket every day. Inside it? A photo of us when we were kids and a blood-stained ribbon she'd taken from the crash site. She thought it was poetic. I thought it was evidence. She stopped wearing the locket after that. Started locking her car. Changed her passcodes. But it was too late. Because she'd built her entire life on top of a grave she thought would stay buried. And I was digging my way out. I moved into a motel 15 minutes from my old apartment. The one she now shared with my ex, Thomas. Ironic, really. He always said Celeste was too much for him. Too chaotic. Too dangerous. He had no idea. Over the next 2 weeks, I became a ghost in her perfect little world. I left fingerprints in places she thought were sealed. A voicemail on her work line. Me humming a tune only our mother knew. A signed copy of a book she once gave me delivered to her desk. A receipt in her purse from a gas station 3 towns over. The same town where she told Thomas she'd never been. Small things. Sharp things. Each one a whisper. I know what you did. I'm watching. You stole me. Now I'm stealing you. The first time I saw fear on her face, it was in a mirror. I was behind her. Just for a second. In the reflection of a boutique window as she tried on a dress I used to own. She turned. Looked right at me. But I was already gone. She started unraveling after that. Thomas mentioned how jumpy she'd become. My old assistant confided, without recognizing me, that Celeste had missed a deadline, a first. And then came the gala. The one I planned months before the crash. The one where she was now scheduled to speak as the keynote. I RSVP'd under a different name. Rented a dress she never wore. Wore lipstick she said clashed with my skin tone. And when she walked on stage I stood in the back row, arms crossed, gaze locked. She froze. Only for a second. But it was enough. I didn't confront her that night. I let her wonder. I let her dream in fear. Because when someone fakes your death to steal your life, you don't give them closure. You give them nightmares. By the time Celeste realized I was real, it was too late for her to rewrite the ending. She tried, of course. Started whispering that she thought she saw a ghost to anyone who'd listen. Claimed stress. Trauma. Said she'd been seeing me in crowds, in mirrors, in dreams. People nodded sympathetically. They offered her soft reassurances. They didn't believe her. Because I wasn't a hallucination. I was the storm she never saw coming. Her spiral was fast. And public. She botched a presentation. Fled a meeting mid-slide. Missed an anniversary dinner with Thomas, then lied about why. I didn't even need to intervene that week. She was unraveling herself. But I gave her one final push. A letter. Delivered to her apartment. Typed on the old typewriter we used as kids. The one we fought over until she broke the R key. Dear Celeste. You always did want to be me. But the thing about stealing someone's life is, you better be ready to live all of it. I'm coming to collect what's mine. TikTok. Oh. The next day she tried to run. Booked a flight to Lisbon. Cleaned out one of my old accounts. Well, her account now. She never made it to the airport. Because when she got to her car, the glove box was open. Inside was a single Polaroid, her asleep from the night before. Taken from the hallway. She didn't drive anywhere after that. Thomas called the police 3 days later. Reported her missing. They found her in a hotel room across town. Alone. Rambling. She told the officers she was being haunted by her dead sister. That Lena wasn't gone. That she was watching her. One of the cops, ironically an old classmate of ours, looked her up and down and said, "You're Celeste, right?" She nodded. He raised an eyebrow. Funny. I thought Celeste was the one who died. She was released without charges. But the damage was done. Whispers started to swirl around her office. Thomas moved out. The board requested a psychological evaluation. All I had to do was nudge the final domino. I walked into her workplace. Hair long again. No makeup. Jeans. Hoodie. Nothing like the Lena she tried to become. I walked straight to the receptionist, smiled and said, "Hi. I'm Lena Winslow. I think someone's been using my identity." The silence that followed was almost holy. By the time Celeste arrived, red-faced, wild-eyed, dragging Thomas behind her like a shield, the office was already buzzing. 2 of my former co-workers stood behind me. One of them whispered, "I knew something was off." Celeste froze when she saw me. Then she smiled. The same practiced smile she used in every lie. "Lena, you're confused." "It's me." I didn't let her finish. "You're done." I dropped a manila folder on the receptionist's desk. Inside. Everything. Hospital records. Dental comparisons. Witness statements. A recording from the crash site medic. And the final piece. A signed affidavit from our mother. Confirming my identity. Celeste didn't speak. Didn't blink. She just stared at me like I'd crawled out of her nightmares wearing her skin. Maybe I had. The fallout was instant. She was escorted from the building. The HR director apologized. Thomas? He didn't say a word. Just looked at me like he finally saw the woman he'd fallen for, and the one who'd taken her place. I walked out without looking back. Let her deal with the whispers. Let her live in the ruins she built. Because here's the thing about stealing someone's life. You don't just take what they had. You inherit everything they lost. And when you fake a death, there's always room for 2 graves. For 2 weeks I thought I'd won. The company cut ties. Her bank accounts froze. Thomas ghosted her so hard you'd think he was allergic to guilt. And Celeste? She vanished. No texts. No sightings. No posts. It was like she evaporated into the same lie she'd built. Until the voicemail. "Hey Lena. Congrats on the big comeback. I've been thinking. You stole the finale. That wasn't fair. So let's rewrite the ending, together." There was an address. One we both knew. Our childhood home. The place hadn't changed much. The porch still creaked. The wind still sighed through the broken screen. And the swing, the one we used to fight over, still hung by one rusted chain. She was already there, sitting on the porch steps in my favorite coat, hair curled, eyes tired. She didn't stand when I walked up, didn't flinch, just said, "I knew you wouldn't let me keep it." I said nothing. She looked up at the sky. "Do you remember what Mom said when we turned 13? 2 hearts, same rhythm. But one always breaks first." I nodded. "I didn't know it would be yours." She started slow. Said she hadn't meant for the lie to last. That when she woke up at the crash site with my wallet in her jacket, she just didn't correct the mistake. She said it felt like fate, like justice, like she'd finally gotten a life that fit. I let her talk. Until she said, "But you have to admit, I wore it better." That was the moment I stopped listening. The fight wasn't cinematic. No fists, no blood, just words. Years of them. Shouted, whispered, spat through clenched teeth and cracked memories. We walked through the house while we argued, room to room, reliving every corner. The hallway where she pushed me down the stairs. The attic where I hid her diary and lied about it. The bedroom where she learned to fake tears. And I learned to match her pitch. She tried to make me doubt myself. Tried to twist the narrative again. Tried to make me feel crazy for wanting to come back to a life that never wanted me. But here's the thing. I didn't want the life anymore. I just wanted her to stop rewriting my name. I wanted the record to be clean. Not for them, for me. Because once your identity's been stolen, your sense of self becomes forensic. You become your own crime scene. She offered me a deal. Tried to spin it like a redemption arc for both of us. We could disappear, she said. Start over. Change our names, move somewhere warm. We could be sisters again. She almost sounded sincere. But that was always her gift. The ability to lie with her eyes wide open. The final moment came with a choice. She stood at the edge of the old dock behind our house. 1 step from the water. Eyes wild. Hands shaking. "You want this to end? Then say it. Say you're Lena. Say I'm not." The wind blew harder. The dock creaked beneath us. I took a breath. And I said, "I'm Lena Winslow. You never were." Her expression didn't crack. Not right away. She just turned and looked out at the lake like maybe it could rewrite time. Like maybe she could walk out there and find a version of herself that had never needed to steal mine. She didn't jump. She turned herself in the next day. Fraud. Identity theft. Obstruction. Possession of forged documents. Misappropriation of funds. A sealed psychiatric evaluation. They gave her 3 years. She served 17 months. Good behavior. Overcrowding. She was always good at slipping through cracks. I rebuilt slowly. New city. New job. New name on my lease. No more orchids on my desk. No more monograms. Nothing she could trace or mimic. People ask about my sister sometimes. I just say she's a ghost. The kind that doesn't disappear. Sometimes I still feel her shadow at my back. At coffee shops. In rearview mirrors. In the way a stranger might say my name and pause just a second too long. But I never look twice. Because if I do, she wins. I've thought a lot about what identity really means. Whether it's something you're born with or something you earn. And maybe that's what this was all about. A test. A war. A twisted kind of inheritance. Because here's the thing about surviving a stolen life. You don't go back to who you were. You bury her. And you make damn sure no one else ever digs her up again.